Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another insightful episode of Energy for Growth, the role of LPG in Nigeria. I'm Chuka Okoli, and I'm thrilled to have you here as we dive into a crucial conversation about Nigeria's landscape and how LPG, which is liquefied petroleum gas, is shaping industrialization. This series is brought to you by Radiant Money, a premier digital financial platform that empowers individuals and businesses to seamlessly open virtual accounts and conduct secure global transactions with unmatched ease and cost efficiency. So, Nigeria is at a turning point. While traditional fuels have long dominated the market, LPG is emerging as a cleaner, more efficient alternative that could power industries, create jobs, and drive economic growth. Today, we are breaking down LPG and how it can be a game changer for industrialization in Nigeria. To help us navigate this discussion, we have Mr. Ike Okebugu, a renowned gas enthusiast with years of experience in the energy and industrial sector. Mr. Ike, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Engineer Chuka. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so before we jump into today's discussion, let me take a moment to acknowledge our sponsor. Radiance Money is all about enabling seamless cross-border transactions and promoting financial inclusion. One of the things I really admire about them is how they are creating solutions that help businesses and individuals to manage multi-currency accounts, especially in a globalized economy. So their focus is on providing competitive exchange rates and empowering local payments. And this is exactly what we need to drive economic growth in a sustainable way. All right, so Nigeria is one of the largest proven gas reserves in the world, and yet LPG adoption still faces several hurdles. From your perspective, Mr. Ike, what are the key challenges limiting LPG penetration in Nigeria, especially at a grassroots level?
Thank you so much, Engineer Chuka, for the question. It is known globally that Nigeria has one of the largest proven gas reserves in the world, and we haven't really tapped into that opportunity that we have yet due to so many challenges. Some of these challenges are high cost of entry for investors, cost investors billions of naira to make even a very small to capture even a very small segment of the market. Also safety concerns and awareness, poor awareness, is also a problem. We also have inadequate infrastructure and distribution. Our distribution and infrastructure in Nigeria here is very limited. This is also due to the fact that the high cost of entry. It's still a very big challenge. Then we also have policies and regulatory gaps that needs to be addressed. The government have tried, but I'm sure that they can do much more. You know. Then we also have cultural and behavioral factors that affect utilization of LPG and gas in total in Nigeria. For example, there are some houses you go to that the landlords will tell the tenants, please, you cannot use LPG, you cannot use gas in my house. So that is a problem. Those are cultural and behavioral factors that we need to address. So it's a bunch of problems that I'm sure with the right with the right strategies, policies, and ideas, we can find ways to increase utilization of LPG gas in Nigeria.
Thanks for saying that, Mr. Ike. I'm aware that Sargas Cylinder Limited is playing a critical role in LPG value chain. So, could you share how local cylinder manufacturing contributes to Nigeria's industrialization agenda and job creation?
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, local cinema manufacturing contributes a whole lot to the economy. One of the ways it's going to help us advance our industrialization because of the capacity building we're going to gain from local manufacturing of cylinders. So, for example, we're going to improve on our welding skills. We're going to improve on our marketing skills. Also going to improve on our power generating skills through local manufacturing. It's also going to drive job creation. So instead of us exporting our jobs by paying people in China to produce cylinders, why we can produce that here in Nigeria, we bring that job back to Nigeria here. So it's also going to create a whole lot of jobs and drive job creation. Then it's also going to enhance our energy accessibility and safety. So we don't have to rely on getting energy from outside Nigeria. All that can be here because we have the gas, we have the cylinders. So local manufacturing in Nigeria would play a huge role in advancing us in every way, both job creations, in industrialization, in safety, in security, and power generation also. Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's a very, very insightful. Um, and talking about the advanced LPG markets, the cylinder like exchange model uh, would have helped deepen like gas adoption to making access more convenient and safer. We talked about safety. We talked about just bringing like jobs also back into the Nigerian labor market. So how viable, say, is this local cylinder exchange system in Nigeria? And what would you think are like key enablers for its success?
Yeah, local cylinder exchange, the exchange system in Nigeria is not just viable, it is actually very critical for us to accelerate LPG adoption in Nigeria, especially at the grassroots level, you know. So it is a critical aspect the of the sector that we really need to tap into, the both the government, both private sector, if we really want to grow LPG, especially at the grassroots level. However, there are some bottlenecks and challenges that we need to address for us to make uh, the LPG cylinder exchange model a very viable and profitable one. One of them is has to do with the investment in infrastructure. We need to invest a whole lot in infrastructure, especially the distribution aspect of it. We also need to have strong government support and regulation. They also need to have affordability models. For example, models like pay as you go credit systems, models like cylinder leasing, and all that, to come on board to make sure that the cylinder exchange model is going to be very viable. But in all, cylinder exchange model is an untapped market. Like it's an untapped market, and it is the surest way for investors to actually recoup. Like if you're an investor and you want to play if you want to play in the LPG sector in Nigeria, the cylinder exchange model is the most untapped and one of the surest way you can actually recoup investments as quick as possible in the Nigerian market currently.
All right, yeah, that's very interesting because normally you think a potential that's so untapped there will be some kind of ways to promote these systems.
Yeah.
So like how can we could you just explain a bit more how we can help or promote these exchange systems to stimulate like local manufacturing in Nigeria?
Well, the local manufacturer in Nigeria basically would create, as I said earlier, it would boost the local manufacture of cylinders. It would also create new businesses. For example, businesses that has to do with small scale businesses, has to do with cylinder exchange points, that has to do with micro distribution outlets, that has to do with gas plants. So the local cylinder exchange service would create a whole lot of jobs in that aspect. That's one. It's also going to create um, local manufacturer of cylinders. I think I said that earlier. Then also, it also creates skills and it also develops skills.
So yes, in terms of industrialization,
Yes,
how can promoting like the local cylinder exchange systems
yes,
stimulate local manufacturing? Also maybe stimulate logistics and job creation across Nigeria.
yeah, yes. The local cylinder exchange would it would create local manufacturing of cylinders because there'll be a lot of cylinders demand. Cylinder has to be exchanged. It will create a new market for local manufacturing of cylinders. Not just local manufacturing of cylinder, it's also going to create a market for cylinder requalification. Do you know that in Nigeria there is no single cylinder requalification plant existing? There's none. So there's a huge opportunity for cylinder requalification plants. All LPG cylinders have to be requalified after 5 years, but it's a pity in Nigeria, over 90% of our cylinders are not requalified. So that's going to create a new market itself. Then it's also going to create new businesses, new jobs and new businesses. Businesses like cylinder exchange points are going to be created. Businesses like micro distribution outlets, something very similar to your POS business you have in Nigeria. So you're going to have micro distribution outlets. Then you're also going to have a lot of small scale businesses that will also come up from the local cylinder exchange program if it's fully activated in Nigeria. Then also you're also going to have skill development. A lot of skills will be developed. You're going to have a lot of welders come out. You're also going to have a lot of marketers come out. You're also going to have a lot of safety guys, sectors come out. You're also going to have a lot of drivers come out. Also going to have a lot of riders or bike riders. A lot of them will come out. We also have a lot of logistics operators that will come out from this also. So these are skills that will also come out if we can fully harness local cylinder exchange business model in Nigeria.
Yes, that's a whole lot right there. That's going across board in terms of job creation. Thanks for that, Mr. Ike. So,
Yeah.
federal government they launched the Decade of Gas initiative, and this is to promote gas as a transition fuel. So, in your view, what practical steps should shareholders take to ensure that this initiative delivers real benefits to Nigerian households and industries?
Yeah. So shareholders in the LPG sector, in the gas sector, they have a whole lot to do. The Decade of Gas initiative is a very visionary move by the federal government, but to ensure that stakeholders reap the benefit of it, and Nigerian household and industries also reap the benefit of it. There's a lot stakeholders need to do, even federal government themselves need to do. One of them is to expand the domestic infrastructure, the cylinders, pipeline, airports, processing plants, even down to shipping, even down to roads. So domestic infrastructure needs to be seriously expanded and worked on. Then also the stakeholders also need to promote public awareness and education. Just as I mentioned earlier, that there's some houses you go to, the landlord will tell you that you cannot use gas in the house. So stakeholders need to work on public awareness and education. Then also facilitate access to LPG as much as possible. And one of the ways to facilitate access to LPG is through the cylinder exchange program. That contributes massively to facilitating access to LPG. Then also stakeholders will also prioritize rural penetration. Most stakeholders just focus on only the urban areas to set up their infrastructure, maybe if it's a gas plant or exchange point and all that, yeah. And they neglect the rural areas. So stakeholders need to also focus on the rural areas and prioritize rural penetration of LPG. Yeah, thank you.
And that's thanks for that. And Mr. Ike, it's almost like we need like the country requires more innovative financial models or partnerships, similar to like Radiant Money,
Mm,
to help Nigerians, especially small businesses like SMEs and maybe even women, like people that are more.
yeah.
What innovative financial models or partnerships do you think can help more Nigerians, especially like small businesses, SMEs, access LPG safely and sustainably?
Yeah. So great fintech companies like Radiant Money and the likes of them is a huge opportunity. For example, come up with credit systems for LPG purchase. I'll give you an example, right? So in Nigeria, customers know users in quotes know when gas has finished, why they are cooking. So it's why they're cooking and the gas goes off. That's when they know that their gas has finished. And many of them, right, they want the gas to be delivered to them instantly, right? So if you have companies like Radiant Money come up on board and develop LPG apps that users can buy gas on credit, because while I'm cooking and my gas finishes, I might not have the cash as at that moment to buy gas, right? So if I can go up to Radiant Money and take credit system to purchase the gas, that's a plus, right? So you also look at models like pay as you cook models, where maybe I have only 100 naira today and I want to just cook maybe a meal or two with it, right? So fintech companies like Radiant Money can also look into that. Then you can also look into loyalty and cashback programs. So if I bought gas for like 5 times through Radiant Money system, there should be some of a sort of loyalty program that could come up. So the opportunity is huge. Is huge. Even down to equipment leasing. I don't have to pay upfront for a cylinder. Why do I have to pay upfront for a cylinder? Radiant Money can take care of that, and I pay it gradually over time, right? So the opportunity for fintech companies to come up on board in the LPG space, the gas space in general, is massive. It is massive and it's untapped. It's hugely untapped. So if you have your LPG cylinder exchange model operating alongside a fintech model where customers can buy gas as a user, pay as you go, or buy gas on credit system, or buy equipment on credit system, that would help, especially for the grassroots sector. that is massively on tap. So it's a huge opportunity for fintech companies that really have money to come up on board and help the industry. Yeah,
That's a very wide range of
yeah, it is. Yes, it
models
is.
that you just
Yeah,
mentioned there.
yeah,
We're looking at maybe even 6, 7 models that you just said there for like fintech companies to be able to come and
exactly.
in the LPG system. And this, at the end of the day, is helping us access
Yeah,
LPG more safe and sustainably. Because if you have somebody, a system that helps you sustain your gas, chances are that you will subscribe to such system, especially if it's a very safe way of doing that. Thank you for that, Mr. Ike. Then finally, looking ahead 5 to 10 years, what's your vision for LPG industry in Nigeria? What role will Sargas play in shaping this future?
well, Sagas has been operational in Nigeria since 2016, and we have contributed massively to the development of the LPG space in Nigeria, and will continue to do so. So my vision for the entire LPG industry in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be very interesting because we haven't really tapped up to 40% of our market yet. So the opportunity is still very huge, though the dynamics of the market is massively changing. It's not static, it's massively changing, you know. So one, I see the LPG cylinder exchange service as a new frontier for investors to play in, an untapped market for investors to play in. That's one. Two, I see in more of inland processing facilities coming up, which will compete with all our import terminals that we have. So I also foresee many of our import terminals that we have going moribund very soon, like really very soon. If more inland processing facilities come up, the import terminals will all go moribund because there's no point of importing LPG anymore when there's a local producer of it right next at your doorstep, you know. So my vision for the next 5 to 10 years. So any player coming on board or any investor coming on board the LPG space should look at the cylinder exchange program. Also look at investing in the inland LPG production facilities. That's it.
Mr. Ike, this has been such an insightful discussion. Thank you for sharing your expertise and giving us a clearer picture on how LPG can drive Nigeria's industrial growth. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us. And don't forget to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. You can check us on Instagram, on Facebook, and most especially, you can check our services on our website, which is www.doowe, which is DOOWE.ng. Now, stay tuned for our next episode where we continue to explore how energy should be the future of Nigeria. Until then, take care and keep making progress. Thank you very much.